over the course of 3 months. They came for 3 or 4 hours at a stretch and worked in the sweltering heat and sometimes cold. They range in age from 6 to 95 years old. Building something large with a group of people of so many different sizes is one of the great joys of life. My father is a sculptor who built large kinetic motorized sculpture and life-size dinosaurs out of car bumpers. Dad's kindness and playfulness were more important to me than the objects he produced. He had a motley crew that he loved and who worked together with him for many years. I spent a lot of time in my childhood watching them construct things as a team. I never built anything larger than a bread box until my dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Without really thinking about it, I began constructing larger and larger things. I always had a reason. I was campaigning for a candidate or raising money for a cause. But it has dawned on me slowly that I was also visiting with my father and keeping him company and passing his spirit along. While we were taking 3 of the vegetables for their first stroll last week, a woman drove up to the house. Her name was Lise. She had driven from Connecticut looking for this barn. Lisa's grandfather built the building we are sitting in 1952. She hadn't set foot in the place since she was 10 years old. She did not know if the barn had been razed and turned into condos, or if it was as beautiful as she remembered, or what had become of her mother's childhood home. As she drove in, the barn was being lit for this event, and the last vestiges of Margaret's play, which occurred here 2 weeks before, were being carted away. And the lemon, radish, and artichoke were taking their first wobbly steps. Lise had not the slightest inkling of what had grown out of her grandfather's impulse to build a barn that is plain as mud on the outside but feels like a cathedral once you step inside. In this barn, a gospel choir has sung, a flock of papier-mâché chickens have danced, plays have been performed, aerial acrobats have dangled, the farmers next door have held 3 weddings, crooners have crooned, and papier-mâché skeletons have waltzed under black lights. Lise showed up at exactly the right moment to take all this in and report back to her family. Most of the time, we never know what emanates from what we do. My father doesn't know what he has launched in me. You just have to go start something and hold your breath. As Myra Kelman says, everything is invented. Language, childhood, careers, relationships, religion, philosophy, the future. They are not there for the plucking. They don't exist in some natural state. They must be invented by people, and that, of course, is a great thing. Don't mope in your room, go invent something. That is the American message. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Kathy Snyder, who invented Rolling Harvest. Kathy was a volunteer at Fisherman's Mart Food Pantry helping out with the day-to-day operations when she won a huge Ford Excursion SUV at a racetrack in Kentucky. And started using that truck to go to farm markets and grocers, asking for donations of fresh produce, a commodity in short supply at the food pantry. Years later, she has branched out to full-time procurement. Today, Rolling Harvest has more than 20 farm partners, reaching more than 28 social service sites, and conducts 7 farmers markets, which are free to all food pantry customers. Since 2009, they have delivered more than 168,000 pounds of nutritious food through the distribution network that helps roughly 11,000 individuals each month. The goal is to have every food pantry they serve look like the farmer's market. I like to think that Rolling Harvest will continue and grow and take root here, and if we all stick by them, it will. Please welcome Kathy Snyder.